Welcome back to another old versus new that actually isn't Transformers this time. Today we're taking a look at an old versus new for Iron Man, specifically the modular armor, or like the 90s armor, you know, the armor he kind of had in the animated series, the armor he had in Marvel vs. Capcom, that armor. So yeah, the only figure that he had in like a modern Marvel Legends line before this new one was the face-off Iron Man. This guy is not easy to come by. For the longest time, I did not have it. Thanks to my sister-in-law for actually finding that for me at a comic shop down in Kentucky. And also thanks to her again because she ordered the case of these. And there's a spare one of that, so she sold me this from the case. So I had this before all the others because, I'd pre-ordered, blah, blah, blah. You know how it is. So yes. That is the old Toy Biz face-off Iron Man, and this is the new Hasbro from like the whole Iron Man wave, modular armor Iron Man. Both of these figures are pretty great. I honestly like them both, but as you can see, just looking at them, there's some differences. So let's take a look at some of the most noticeable ones right now, the colors and the height, and like the overall size. Modern Hasbro Legends are just a lot bigger, especially with the Iron Man stuff. They make him bigger. And he's almost like a whole head taller than him. Like, look at that. At least like half a head. Like, that's quite the difference. You can see the head size difference. But a lot of the other body proportions are fairly similar in size. You can tell he just has a way bigger head that actually fits him more proportionally. He is red plastic and yellow paint. He is nice marbly red plastic and gold paint. So that definitely is another difference to consider. And when it comes to accessories, he came with the arm gauntlets and a face mask, and he came with alternate hands with blast effects. So accessories are a little light on both of these guys. I think there was also like a stand that you always got with the face-off stuff, but I just have the Iron Man from the set. So yeah, just looking at these differences, you can really tell. And also, this is pinless. This is a pinless figure, so the old Toy Biz one, of course, has pins because this thing's like well over a decade old. Maybe like 15 years old at this point. When did it come out? Does it say on the feet? No, not on the feet. Does it say it on the thigh, on the inner thigh, as I bump into the camera again? 2006, so yep, about 15 years old. Wow, man, that's kind of crazy. So yes, let's look at this one. Let's get into the nitty-gritty, the details. So, this figure's pretty rare, and it's hard to find him complete. The main reason why I have mine complete is because the previous owner decided to glue things down. Because they did not stay on, they always fall off. That's why you can never find this guy with his arm weapons or his face mask. So the owner glued the arm weapons down, so those are just permanently on him, and I genuinely cannot complain. But he did also glue down the face mask, but we went through the effort to peel it out so you can look at the face. This is why I keep the thumbnail a little long, guys. A little Easter egg there. Totally, you've never said that before. Yeah, you just pick that out. And then you can see it's a little gloopy from the glue. But, yeah, another beautiful likeness of Tony Stark from Toy Biz. Totally not weird at all. I mean, I can't really judge it from this copy because it is, it was glued on after all. But yeah, I mean, not the greatest. You'll find them like this a lot. You'll just find them without the mask because they just come off all the time. But you can kind of lip it back up, and then it does actually kind of click into place. So I feel like after a while they were starting to learn how to put the mask on and keep it on. But still kind of an iffy gimmick to have anyway, because how many of these Toy Biz Iron Man figures are missing their masks, man? And they'll never be reunited with a mask. It's horrible. But yeah, you can see the look of him. He's got some nice yellow sort of, paint seeping into the crevices there. I really like the gold chest. I mean, the yellow paint's a little, you can see. I mean, that's just what happens with figures that are painted in yellow like this. I don't know, it's like all the yellow is paint, I'm pretty sure. All of it. So it looks pretty painty. I don't know how else to say. Like, you can see the paint glops here and there. It's kind of funny. But yeah, his articulations is not too bad. I mean, it's an old Toy Biz Marvel Legend. Marvel Legend innovated the modern articulation scheme. He's got the goofy looking hips though. But these goofy looking hips are very useful. I mean, they're so useful and well articulated. Part of me doesn't really complain about the goofy hips because you can get so much range. Double knee, but only 90-degree bend. So that's a little unfortunate. Really nice ankle, boot cut, barely any pivot, but he does have some toe articulation, just a little bit. Just a little bit. More down than up, which is odd. Then I totally skipped his arms. They can move up. Bicep swivel, double jointed elbow that basically just gives you 90 again. Then you can see he's got in and out, and then you can move his wrist to give him a little bit of a repulsor blast, I guess, even though he's got these tiny, tiny little gold repulsor things in there. He does have some nice little gold detail here and there. I appreciate it. Then this hand is basically meant to just exist as a fist, but you can still open it up for some reason, and it looks kind of funny. I wouldn't really do that. I usually just keep it as a fist. And then the head's on a ball joint, but it basically just serves as a swivel. Like, that's basically all you can really use out of it. It's got the ab crunch and then the swivel at the waist. So yeah, for being an old 2006 Toy Biz figure, not bad. Definitely happy to have this one in my collection still, even though there is the new one. But if the new one did come out before I got my hands on this, I would still want to track this down, but I wouldn't be nearly as bothered to. Because the new one, it is nice. It's not perfect. This new one is not perfect, but it's pretty nice. And I can't really, you know, there's a few things I could ask for, but it's pretty great. Let's just get into it. So yeah, you've got the alternate hands with the blast effects. You know, it's nothing we really haven't seen before. They are hinged though, thank goodness. They are hinged, so that's definitely a plus. But the body, man, it looks nice. I like the metallic red. I just don't think the sheen is just quite there yet. I don't know, like in some places it looks great, like right there in the middle of the chest. Then other places it just looks kind of like on the upper thigh. It just looks pretty flat and bland. I mean, the body looks really good. But then the shoulders just have no metallicness to them. I think it's because there's like the harder plastics and the softer plastics that they're using. I don't know. I can't really explain it, but like that part looks nice and shiny. I don't know. It's weird. I feel like I'm nitpicking, but it just kind of ruins the look a little bit with these like inconsistent sheens and shines to them. It does not have the gold up there, but that could just be like an artistic choice. The head sculpt, I love it. That helmet looks great. I really do love it. It's got the nice gold in the chest like the other one. You can see he's got the gold in the armors. This is just like a gold piece of plastic that's glued on, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, so you can see it's this gold plastic there, so that's a little bit of a bummer. Same with there. I don't know, but see, that's gold paint, so that's nice and shiny. I think is that also just a piece of gold plastic? Maybe. I don't know, it doesn't look as shiny as everything else. It's just so many inconsistent sheens, man. Like, you can tell, like, that has a lot less luster than his abs. It's just, it's a little weird. And also, I feel like the body, besides being pinless, doesn't do a lot different from, like, other Iron Man figures. It's kind of samey, which, I mean, Iron Man figures from Hasbro are great, so, like, this is great. But it doesn't really offer a lot that's unique besides the fact that it's pinless. And the shoulders. I'm just getting all my gripes out of the way before I start gushing about this thing, by the way. You can see, like, they're really clicky, and I feel like I'm going to break the bicep off. Like, see how I have to bend the bicep before the shoulder even moves? And this one's even worse. You can see it's almost, like, warped with the hinge right there. See that? Look. It's, like, warping before it even goes in. Look, it's totally, like, scratched it up. I don't know what's going on with that. But some random thing just fell out and scared the crap out of me. Oh my gosh. But yeah, you can see it's just kind of eaten up at that. That's just it's a poor hinge design. It's really clicky and I feel like I'm going to break it. You can see how like the peg is, like the joint is not moving right now. That's just the give. It's just, the shoulders scare me on this thing, man. But thankfully the biceps feel nice. If they don't break on me. The elbows feel great. You know, he's got the hinges and the swivels. He's got a nice ab crunch, swivel. He's got the hinge and swivel at the head. Or not the hinge and swivel, the hinge and ball joint. Which again is very tight. Like I have to give a lot of, force just to get that to move. And I think that's on its own ball joint too, so that moves a little bit on its own. And then the hips can move forward and out. They can move out really nice. And then the knees can bend nice and deep. I mean, you can see this is a pretty great figure, but also the ankles too. I struggle with the ankles. I feel like this guy just has so many like heavy clicks that it just doesn't make him feel as nice and fluid as he should. Like, see that? That's just so much effort just to get him to move. I don't know, man. Like, on paper, this is a great figure, but like with how odd the joint tolerances are, it's like he's got some that are like super nice and fluid, like the elbows and the knees. But then you get like to his ankles and his shoulders, and then you're in his neck a little bit too. Like, look at all this effort I have to put into moving his neck. And it's just, at the end of the day, it's a great figure. I don't know if I could even say great. It's good. It's really good. But it just has some odd joint tolerances. And I don't know how to feel about them. Because they just, I'm worried he's going to break if I pose him too much. It's just so weird. I mean, this is one of the first, like, pinless Iron Man figures. So I can see why they might be having some issues. But then again, the issues with the joints are not anything to do with, like, the pinless parts. So I love this figure. He looks great. He poses great. He just doesn't feel great to move. I don't like moving him because he kind of scares me. Because he just has so many, like, click. It's so heavy with the clicking and the ratchets. And it just scares me a little bit. But at the end of the day, I really like both of these guys. And if I could only pick one, I would pick the Hasbro one. I love the shininess. I love the proportion, the look. It poses a lot better. But it does have those issues that you have to keep in mind. Hopefully it's just my copy. Maybe other Iron Man figures feel super nice and smooth and fluid. That's kind of what I was expecting. Because you bring in other, like, comic Iron Man figures like this mold. Shoulders, boom. Ankles, boom. Like, they have the click, but they're not like, boom, boom. Like, you can see, it's really nice and fluid. So I was kind of expecting something that feels like this out of this guy. But, it is what it is. And at the end of the day, I still really like both these figures. I still kind of recommend both of them if you're an Iron Man collector. But if you're just, like, looking for one, definitely get the Hasbro. It's what's out right now. It doesn't even have a BAF part. I think it's like 2 per case or 3 per case, something crazy like that. And yeah, I really recommend it. Alrighty, guys, there you go. Thank you so much for watching. Shout out to the Patreon people. You rock. Here are your names. Thank you so much. Alrighty, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.